What's up, guys? Welcome to Juice Podcast. My name is Salman Ali at Salman Ali NBA on Twitter. Here joined by Forrest Walker at DUNOTS on Twitter. How you doing, man?
Hey, what's up? It's been a while, huh?
Yeah. So the last episode we recorded was in late October. For one reason or another, I've largely stayed out of content and social media all year. Let me just say this: when I started writing and podcasting about the Rockets in 2014, I legitimately believed like there was like a vacuum for like nuanced Rockets analysis that was coming out on a regular basis. In 2014, the voices that filled this space were either like irregular, like reactionary, or like homerish for me,
Huh.
right? That's just my opinion, right? Like in 2014, I don't know if anybody even remembers who was putting out content back then, but that's just kind of how I felt about it. So I was like, okay, there's space for the kind of content I like to produce now, right? Since then, dozens of creators have come into this space, and as I've been wrestling with the idea of walking away from this, what brought me comfort was that my particular style of analysis was not going to be missed, right? Because inevitably one of these new creators was going to adapt a similar viewpoint to me, and I could just relax and enjoy the analysis from my retirement from all this, right? So this season, I tried that, right? I sat back and I watched everyone give their take on the 2025-26 Houston Rockets. But now the season's over. And Forrest, when I tell you the amount of times I opened Twitter and saw something that made me want to punch a hole into my wall, you wouldn't believe me. So let me just tell the listener this. Like, as frustrated as you think you are about the season, I think I have you beat. I think so. We'll never know for sure, but I think I have you beat. Because I think outside of almost anyone outside the Rockets themselves, I think I have them beat. Not just because of the basketball product we were all forced to watch this year, but I think the takes that emerged from it and me intentionally muzzling myself, I think drove me even crazier, right? Like, because I just so badly had to get my thoughts out. I just chose not to. Up until like close to the end, I was like, I don't think I tweeted much, right? So I'm not telling you that I'm coming back just because I don't want to promise something I don't know I'll be able to deliver. But today's episode had to be made because I have things I need to get off my chest. Before we get even into the nitty gritty, Forrest, how do you react to all that, and how has it been for you to read all the analysis of the Rockets this year
All right.
by other
Uh,
people?
yeah, sure. Um, I will say, all right, let's lay some things out first. I don't use Twitter anymore because it's unpleasant to me, mostly
Yeah,
because the
I get
sheer
it. I
number
get
of
it.
ads for things I find gross is the primary motivator. I just don't want to deal with that. I do peek in occasionally and see how it's going. It's not going well. Someone, it's not going well. You
Yeah,
know this. It's not going well.
yeah. It's not.
I think there are some good voices out there. I mean, for example, I mean, they're not. All right.
I'm open to this.
Yeah,
Go
no,
ahead. Yes. Yeah.
a guest that you have had on the show multiple times, Dan Favelli, for instance. Smart guy, great analysis, love him. He's not a Rockets guy though, you know. So there's not among Rockets voices. It's a weird moment right now. It's been a difficult season. I'll put it that way. We're gonna get into all that. Don't worry. But it's been a little bit of a tough one. And for example, I peek in on I contribute occasionally on the Rockets subreddit, which is probably a mistake. It's a bad place to be. It's not fun in there. It's not fun anywhere. It's not fun anywhere in Rockets world right now. Rockets fans are not handling this well. I was wondering if NBA fans in general are just like this way, the way the Rockets fans are. Hey, turns out Rockets fans have a unique talent for turning a consistently decent, if not great, team into abject misery. So there's plenty to complain about this season. There's plenty to complain about, which makes it worse because it is really like a bottom one fan base to be around at this moment in time. So
it's
fair
it's
play.
highly neurotic, the fan base, right? It's
Yes.
they're very self-critical, And it doesn't help that they don't really get much help from the outside, right? It's not like there are people from Houston that grew up in this space that are out here talking on behalf of the Rockets. There are people who are Knicks fans, Lakers fans, Celtics fans in the media. There are no Rockets fans in the media,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, and I would I think it's part of Houston's identity as well to some degree to be kind of neurotic, to be worried that like everyone thinks less of you. We know how Houston is, right? It's a
Yeah,
Houston
yeah,
is a world class city with a like county class reputation. So all this contributes to like people are talking about Celtics fans think that like they're kind of high and mighty and arrogant, think that they should never lose anybody. Same with who's Rockets fans. Rockets fans are like, we won in the '90s. What are we doing not winning every year? So, yeah, it's been a tough time. So I understand completely your frustration and you're not wanting to be around a lot of this and your desire to put out some things. Look, people are very emotional right now. I'm very emotional right now. I understand it. I get to totally make sense to be emotional about all this, but it's not always the best place to be doing analysis from.
yeah. And I think you would have a more level-headed analysis coming from the fan base if there were people on the outside who were like actually looking like from in a cold way, right? For some reason, my entire life, no one's been able to do that about this team,
Well,
right?
yeah, I think it's a combination that it might be to some degree the team itself. I think it's also that sports discussion at this point in time is just like this. Like no one is cool about anything. Whatever anyone else's team is losing, their response is always just kind of lol. Just
Hmm.
like well, sucks for y'all, I guess. Like there's
Hmm.
not a lot of like you said, there's not a lot of measured discourse on like anybody, anyone.
Right.
So yeah,
So let's sum it up quickly. So the Rockets won 52 games in the regular season, lost in six in round one to the Lakers, right? If that sounds familiar, it's because that's exactly what happened last year. They won 52 games, they lost in round one in 7 games to the
7. Yeah.
Warriors, right? There are a lot of people disappointed in Houston's performance, like whether that's fans, media, and I'm sure
The
disappointment with the
team.
team
Yeah.
themselves, right? And on some level, that's understandable, right? Like you look at the results on paper as I just laid out, like when you just look at it, it sounds like a lateral step this year, right? I can understand how that may be frustrating. Like, trust me, I do. I get it. However, I find it unbelievable that the Rockets losing their starting point guard to begin the season and their all NBA forward to start the playoffs has just become an afterthought in this analysis. It's just become something we don't talk about. Nobody, even the Rockets fans or media, are giving Houston the grace that injuries of this magnitude are typically given. Like they're not. It just doesn't feel like anybody has properly recalibrated expectations for this team after the injuries took place. Maybe it's because they started off the season a little bit hot, right? They
Yes.
were like the 2 seed at one point. Maybe it's the cloud of the KD burner account situation, or maybe it's, and I know this is going to piss some people off, but I don't care. Or maybe it's just that people are stupid, right? And they don't think that injuries to Fred VanVleet, Dorian Finney-Smith, Steven Adams, and Kevin Durant were relevant to the success or failure of this team. Maybe people just think that way. I don't know what it is, but the temperature of the discourse feels way too hot. It
Hey,
feels way too hot for me this year.
all right. So as we're recording this, the Nuggets have just lost, like like a couple days ago, they lost their first round series. After which, the three-time MVP Nikola Jokic said that like, well, you can't blame injuries. The Thunder have had guys out all season; they can win anyway. Injuries are no excuse for like not performing and winning. And the thing is that that's a load of horse right?
Yes.
And it's what we expect people to say because it's kayfabe. It's kayfabe to say the players have to say, well, we messed up. We should do better. I don't, it's just it's similar to corporate kayfabe where you have to say like, oh,
It's
we
the
can
right thing
achieve
to
anything.
say.
Right.
Right.
It's the right thing
Yeah.
to say. And I think to some degree we have as a sports culture, and if not a culture more broadly, but I gotta get into that, come to start drinking this Kool-Aid and confuse what you're supposed to say with what is actually true. Like we know that's not true. We know that's not true. Look, if the Oklahoma City Thunder were to lose Shea Gilgeous-Alexander tomorrow, that would obviously be a huge impediment to their ability to win in a playoff series. And then you're going to say, well, they should tough through it anyway. That would be madness. But we expect them to say it, and now we kind of feel it as well. And look, there's something you said for institutional unity, like a well coached and well led team can win games with less talent. And importantly, the Rockets did indeed just like belt to ass for 2 months to start of the season. Like for like 8 weeks, they just were winning every game. They were beating everyone by 30. They looked incredible. They looked unstoppable. And then reality set in. It turns out that wasn't reality. It turns out that was a hot start. And why reality couldn't have been that hot, that's what we can and will talk about. But we let that color our opinion. If they'd been the other way around, if this Rockets team had played badly at the start of the year and gotten slowly better, we'd feel differently about them. You know, we'd be like, oh, well, they're not that great of a team, but they had a hot run in, in like March and April. But, that's honestly who they really are. Like, if they had played, if the wins had been distributed more evenly, everyone would have been a little bit more disappointed in them off the bat. But the narrative coming out of the summer, coming out of the Fred VanVleet injury was, well, this team's very talented, but that's a huge problem for them that he's out. They need a guy who can run the offense. So we don't expect
I'm
much.
glad you said that because I feel like I'm hallucinating. I remember people talking about them as a fifth seed, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're gonna be like the fifth or sixth
Yes.
seed in the Western Conference. They're not a real threat,
But then they
right?
won every game for like 2 months, is what
Hmm.
happened. It changed everyone's
Hmm.
minds. Everyone's like, oh, well, these guys are really good then. They should be able to do this.
Here's the thing. If you feel like I'm giving if that me and Forrest are giving the Rockets a pass, like you can get your baby brain bull out of here, right? Turn the podcast off. Like I don't want to hear it. These aren't excuses, man. They're just it's a childish way to think about these things. These are reasons. These are factors, right?
Yeah.
Like
Stuff happens.
excuses are like such and such is still recovering from an injury, is not playing that well, or oh, like this guy I don't like for some reason he had like a personal problem preventing him from playing up to it or whatever, right? Like something like that is an excuse because you can't put your finger on what the issue is. But this you can very clearly put your finger on what is the issue, and it's the players that aren't there.
I
Like
think it would be easier if it was simply the team sucks. It would actually be easier if we could just say, you know what, they went out there, they had most of their guys, they had a healthy enough roster, they made bad decisions, they lost. Like scoring 78 points in a game would be even worse, but then we would know for sure that this is not anything. And the problem is that we don't really know that. There are problems, there are cracks in this foundation, but we don't know which cracks will be remedied when guys are healthy. We don't like the world that could have been is invisible to us and we can't compare the current to it. So things are not like it like that. It would be way easier if we could just write everything off. We can't write the whole team off. Like it's not clearly the best decision to just say, just blow it up. And I get wanting to just blow it up. I get wanting to say, you know what? Any real team wouldn't be scoring 78 points against the Lakers in an elimination game. But that's the world we've been handed, and we're just gonna have to deal with the unpleasant and sort of unfulfilling ramifications of that.
yeah, like listen, is anyone excusing Houston late game execution? No, like we're gonna talk about it, right? Like, is anyone excusing that Houston desperately needed 3-point shooting this year and they wasted their mid level exception on a hurt Dorian Finney Smith? No, and we're gonna talk about all that, right? Like, we're gonna talk about everything. But I find it incredibly annoying that people were judging Houston with the same level of vigor as a healthy title contender. Like, that's how they were judging them, right? And we can talk about like possible changes, but like from the jump that framing pissed me off. Right? It pissed me off. Like it just clouded the entire season. No one ever adjusted.
Well, it's been even more complicated by the fact that they pulled a very injured Lakers team into playoffs that everyone reasonably assumed they would be able to beat, but didn't once again take into account the like last season against the Warriors. Everyone was like, well, the Warriors have playoff experience, the Rockets don't. Even though the Rockets have played better than the Warriors over the course of the season, this Warriors team is honestly favored, and correctly, right? This year there was none of that grace given, also because I thought Kevin Durant would be playing the games and healthy. And then when it turned out that the Rockets were inexperienced once again, that the Lakers were able to get it together and were able to shoot at a level which is frankly unsustainable for at least 3 of those games. Like, yeah, the Lakers won. Like, if you look at the stats of the games, it's not weird that they won. It's weird that the Lakers are that good. That's unusual, and, maybe that's a fault of the Rockets for letting them shoot so many shots, what have you, but again, everyone thought the Rockets were better than they actually were, and then they were very disappointed to find out that the Lakers were better than they thought they were, and the Rockets were a bit worse. And now we're in a
I don't even
situation
want
where
to. Yeah. Go.
expectations are the robber of joy, and the expectations were miscalibrated. That's sort of the core problem with this Rocket season and the reception of it.
I don't even want to do an X's and O's like analysis of what
Sure.
went wrong in
Yeah.
this series, right? I just personally think that's going to be pointless, right? Because it's like they're going to come into next year with a totally different roster of players, and what are we supposed to learn from the mistakes that they made with this roster of players? Like it just doesn't make any, like. So let's talk about possible changes first,
Yeah. How different?
or let's talk organizationally. Okay, like Forrest, I'll let you go first here because I actually don't know how you feel about this. Do you feel Rafael Stone and or Ime Udoka deserve to lose their jobs this summer?
I think let's get into Stone first. I think the DFS signing was a huge error in retrospect. A lot of us liked it at the time, but we didn't know how hurt he was. It was Stone's job to know that. We could all go like,
I agree.
we all should, like we didn't know who knew. Well, he should have known. Like that's his job is to know. Like this signing being that bad was terrible. On the other hand, like I'm not going to criticize the KD trade. Like even if you think Kevin Durant is a snake who has ruined the chemistry, like which I don't want to get into, I simply don't know. But whether you think KD was a successful addition or not, obviously you make that trade. And people have been, I've seen people saying that, oh well, look, Dylan Brooks and Jalen Green are doing great over in Phoenix. No, they're not. They're fine. Like Dylan Brooks is good. Dylan Brooks is good, and we all knew that. Everyone knows Dylan Brooks is good, and he brings lots to the table. Jalen Green has not. He has been better, I want to say, but again, we don't need to like inflate what's going on over there just to make ourselves feel like we could have done something differently and made a better choice. No, that trade was an easy yes.
I'll
Everyone,
stand by it. I'll
yeah,
do it again.
you do it again.
That was yeah, that was an easy trade for Houston. What were they going to do with the 10th overall pick? Not play him either, right? Like here's the thing. Like the Rockets had to trade that pick, right? They were if it wasn't going to be the KD trade, they were going to do a
Do
different
something.
trade.
Yeah,
They were
learn
going to
something.
trade out of that
And they were
draft,
gonna trade
right?
and they were probably gonna trade Jalen either way too. Like, there just wasn't room for we can't relegate the KD trade because it's stupid. Like,
No, but we
that
do
was
need to
yeah.
relitigate it in that it is stupid if you are relitigating it. That's the
Yes, it's
only way.
stupid to
Yeah,
relitigate. Yes.
because it's just an A plus and it's still an A plus.
Yes.
That's how I
Look,
feel.
if you wanna say Clint I don't think Clint Capella was a bad move because it turned out they needed Clint Capella.
Okay. Yeah.
It was he's maybe, like, a little expensive, but it turned up he got that Steve Adams got hurt. But overall, I think we have to get into, though, the midseason non-move, and this is where I think you're on the same page as me, and we're not on the same page with anybody else, which is that why would you waste assets on this season? Like, why
Yeah.
what like, I think they probably should have picked up, like, a guy off waivers. I don't really know why they didn't even, like, pick up, like a backup dude, but I guess if Udoka's not gonna play him anyway, why bother? So, overall, I don't think Stone did anything that wrong. He made one bad signing, and that bad signing was bad, but I don't think he did anything fireable, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think, and here's the thing. I'll go even further than you. We'll get back to the midseason thing. I think the idea that Rafael Stone should be fired is not only wrong but laughable. Like I think it's silly. Like it's the kind of take where I can't take you seriously, right? And this is someone who very vocally disagreed with a lot of the major decisions Stone has made. Like I wanted Evan Mobley and Jalen Suggs over Jalen Green, right? That was me.
Sure,
In
yeah.
2021, I wanted Quentin Grimes over Josh Christopher, right? wanted them to hire Jeff Van Gundy over Steven Silas. I also wanted them to move on from Silas faster than they did. I preferred going after James Harden over Fred VanVleet. I've changed my mind on that. So I will add that caveat. It seems like everybody else has changed their mind to where
The
I
other way,
was.
yeah.
Yeah, but I've
Yeah.
changed my mind on that. I actually do defend that move now. I wanted Nick Nurse over Ime Udoka. I disagreed with many of their major decisions. As you can tell, I don't think he's been perfect. But that's not the bar.
No.
Like the bar is, are you excellent at your job? Are you very good at your job? Or have you, to a reasonable degree, maximized all your advantages and gotten around what you're weakest at? When he entered the job, like if you look at the position Houston was in when he took over and where they are now, you're full of to say that he hasn't managed this well. You're full of. I don't want to hear it. Like, we have this tendency to look at Oklahoma City, to look at San Antonio, or even Detroit in a comparison for ways that things could have gotten better. And first of all, two of those three teams landed number one overall picks. Houston never had that opportunity. Like, they never got the chance to draft a Wemby or even a Cade, right? Like, second of all, and like, people are going to find this crazy, but I think a healthy Rockets team is probably at least in the same tier as Detroit. I think even
Yeah.
possibly they could have been better, right? And as far as comparing them to OKC, that is one of the greatest rebuilds of all time. Okay, that is literally probably the greatest rebuild of all time. Like, if you want to compare him to the best general manager in the sport, delivering probably his seminal achievement, which is this rebuild, I don't think that's fair. Because by that measurement, every other rebuild has failed.
I mean,
Right? By that measurement, every other rebuild has failed.
right. But here you come across that is an internally self-consistent metric to hold people to. Houston is a neurotic fan base, so we're like, why aren't we the best? Why are we just really good? Why are we just good? Why aren't we perfect? We need to be perfect. Like, someone else is getting the shine that we should have, which, comparison is the robber of joy, once again, as I said. So it's tough out there because, yeah, you wanna be perfect. You have to be perfect if you want to win a championship in this NBA. But I don't know, stuff happens, man. So yeah, I agree. I don't think Stone did anything fireable at all. Who are they going to replace Stone with? Who's going to do a better job? Oh, IBB. Who's going to do a better job than him? Like, most NBA teams have terrible GMs. What
Yeah.
are we talking about?
I think he's like one of the best, right? Like,
He's good.
do I think he's the best, right? Like, do I think he's Presti? Do I think he's Ainge? Do I think he's Morey? Right? Probably not at this point, right? You can't say he's that good, or like one of the better general managers in the. I think he's definitely like in that rung below them, right there, right? And who knows if some of these decisions age better. I mean, if some of these players develop into like perennial all-star or perennial superstar players, then we can come back to this. But even if they don't, he's built a 50-win team multiple seasons in a row after missing after he only tanked for 3 seasons. That's not that
That's not
much.
that much. In fact, there's a good
Yeah.
case they made that the biggest mistake they made is not tanking for more seasons. That
Right.
might
I
be
mean,
one of the things you can criticize them for.
and people are going to point to the draft misses, right? First of all, if I agree they missed on Jalen Green, but if you are someone who thought they should have taken Jalen Green and you're making this criticism now, listen, it's fair to say that GM should be held to a higher standard. So you can criticize them, but you better add the caveat that you were probably on that side, right? Most of the people criticizing him for that decision were on the Jalen Green over Evan Mobley side. So if you can make the criticism. I think it's a fair criticism, but you have to add the caveat because it talks to your credibility, right? It speaks to your credibility on that matter. The Usman Garuba, the Ty Washington, like all the picks that they didn't miss. Guys, if we're going to play that game, I got some names for you. Mitch McGarry, Usmani Jang. You guys know what these names are? Like Hunter Tyson, like Cameron Payne,
Oh, yeah.
Josh Hustis, Archie Goodwin, Alex Abrinas. Do you want to know what that is? These are all picks that Sam Presti in the last 10 years has selected in the top 35, right? Like, it doesn't matter how good you are, you're going to miss in the first. You're going to miss on this. This is
Yeah,
really,
that's what
really
the
hard.
draft is. That
It's
the
it's
guys are coin
extremely
flips.
difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, we're not gonna look at his hits, right? Jabari, Alperen Şengün, Tari Eason, Reed Shepherd, right? Like, these are all players that they absolutely hit on. Yeah, they may have missed on guys, but like, that's the nature of the draft. And some of these decisions, right, are really hard to overlook. I think the Jalen Green one, I think it's very difficult to overlook that one. I think it's very difficult to look over the Josh Christopher one, right? Because Quentin Grimes is right there, and I think there's a credible case that both Mobley and Grimes were going into draft day clearly better prospects than the players that were taken over them. I think there's a credible case for that. But I'm not gonna hold someone for I'm not gonna hold something against the general manager for selecting players I disagreed with, right? Because, like, if we're gonna be honest, I would have missed on some of the players they hit on, right? I probably wouldn't have taken Tari Eason at 17, right? And in hindsight, I was wrong there. And I don't know. I just think we're being way too, like, look at Danny Ainge's draft record. Look at Maury's draft record. You want to talk about Nick Johnson today? How much time do we have to talk about Nick Johnson today or Royce White?
Oh
Huh?
boy. I mean,
Does anybody have? How much time do we have today? Because we can do this. We can
hindsight
do this.
hindsight's always 2020. You know, when
Right.
someone when a team wins the finals, when a team gets that championship, and everything they did before was all the correct move, and it suddenly has all been filled in that was right what they did. But the second before that happened, it wasn't clear if the moves were right or not. And you know, as Stan Van Gundy says, you got to write the story while the ball is in the air. Like, going back and saying, well, he made the shot, so it was a good shot, is not actually coherent. That's like not a real idea. And
Morey passed on Kawhi Leonard to take Marcus Morris. Like, what are we
yeah,
doing? Like, this is a hard thing to do. Now, you do have. You can't excuse all of it, right? Like, you can't say, like, you're not held accountable for your draft, right? But if you're hitting enough, which I think Stone has, I'm not going to hold it against you if you miss.
yeah. I mean, I think what people are keying in on is that the Rockets don't have a 1A guy. But like, who
Right.
does? Right? You know, like, yeah, that's true. They didn't pick a guy who's going to be like a top 5 or 10 in the NBA guy who can lead you to a championship on his own. You know, like, who can't, not maybe on his own, but like, who can be that number one leader. But like, okay, how many guys have that? How many of these young dudes have proven that?
Yeah.
Shea, who's a little older than, like, people forget he was traded to the Thunder. He wasn't picked up by them in the draft. He's a little older than these guys. Like, oh, Luca, how many championships does he have? Right? Like, look, we can talk about this
Yeah.
all day. Like, I mean, you have like,
I mean, I just think it's like it's easier to do that also if you're selecting number one.
yeah, and it's luck,
Right.
and that's luck.
It's just, yeah, like, I just think, like, even if they take an Evan Mobley or Jalen Suggs, those guys aren't like perennial, like, MVP candidates, right? Cade, Wemby, they missed on, right? They didn't get the
Well,
pick,
and then what
right?
you have to do in this situation is you have to trade for that 1A guy in that case, which is not like, that's not what the KD trade was, because he wasn't intended to be that. I don't know. It's a different situation, but like, you could say, okay, well, Daryl Morey traded for James Harden, but the jury, like, and we can look back on that from, you know, a decade ago and say, well, look how well that worked out. Well, they didn't win a damn championship, now did they? So maybe it didn't work
And
out that well.
and if we're gonna play that game, first of all, if people saying stuff about Daryl Morey, you can just tell who was old enough to remember how that rebuild went and who wasn't.
Uh,
Like, yeah,
People were not
I can
happy with
tell.
that rebuild until they picked up James Harden.
I can tell just by reading Twitter who remembers that they were in serious discussions to trade for Andre Drummond, number
Mhm.
5, to trade all their assets for Dwight Howard or Andrew Bynum or Pau Gasol, right? Before they ended up getting James Harden. Like, that rebuild could have gone way wrong, or not way
Yeah,
wrong, or a different way.
much worse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just like, I don't think we're looking at this clear eyed.
No,
I think
obviously we're not.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, like, I don't know. This if I'm titling this episode. Can we please calm the down? Right? Like, because I feel like everyone has lost their collective this year. Talking about Houston, they've been very reactionary, not only outside but inside. And it's like, what are we doing? Can we like take a breath here, really look at what happened, what they didn't have this year, and then we can make analysis. Now, Ime Udoka is a different story,
Ime
right?
Udoka is
I
a
think
different story.
I think if he'd gotten swept or if he lost in 5 games, I would have been right there. I was right there with you in saying I think Houston should probably look for a more skilled tacticianer there, right? And it was the kind of situation where like, yeah, you better have that guy in mind before you make the move, but I think you probably should make the move. Now they extended the series to 6 games. I think he probably saved his job this summer. To be honest, I think I like the Rockets are never going to say this. It's I think the fan base wanted a head on a pike that like really badly after games 3 and games 4, right?
Yeah,
And they're not getting it because of what happened in games 4 and
4 and
games 5.
5.
I just think there are reasonable criticisms to be made of Udoka, particularly as an offensive mind. And we were talking about this going into the season. This you made. I think what I said at the time was like, listen, Ime's got the big boy money. Let's see if he can run the big boy offense, right? And he got to like what 8th this year.
Yeah,
And I understand the restrictions, but I mean, come on. Like it is these late game situations that they fumbled throughout the year. It wasn't just that blown 6-point lead with 30 seconds left. They did it
they've done it
throughout the
repeatedly.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're pretty inexcusable.
The
And it's
fact
not
that
just the
the blown 6 points with 24 seconds and the ball was not actually was only arguably the worst late game collapse of the season, and that's remarkable. The fact that there's another one right there with it, the 13 points in overtime loss is incredible. Like that is tough to deal with.
I got a third one for you. There was a game this season where they needed a 3, right, to tie the game, and they had Reed Shepard on the bench.
Huh? Yeah.
It was one possession. All they had was one possession left. They could have made the substitution, and they had Reed Shepard on the bench. It's the kind of mistake that gets overlooked because oh well, come on, one decision like that. Yeah, that is
Yeah,
one
that'll cost
decision
you a
like
game.
that can cost you a game. Like not to say he may have missed, but like the fact that you don't have arguably your best shooter in the game for a 3-point possession. I have my problems with Ime. I think he has legitimate offensive blind spots. I think he's a good coach. That's where the analysis is a little bit more nuanced. I think he is a good coach. He is definitely a strong defensive tacticianer. He is definitely a strong motivator of men. Like the Rockets respect him. He has successfully managed to bury them in every press conference for every game they've lost and still maintain the respect of the locker room, which is really hard to
It's
do.
really weird also.
It's weird. I don't know why he keeps doing it. You can do it every like once or twice in a season. You can maybe pull that card.
Every
The
loss,
amount
man.
Ime pulls that card is just it's inexcusable, right? But I do think they need to make some changes on that staff, right? And I think even if they make changes on that staff, I still think there's a case that Ime should be fired. And I think even if he makes changes to to the staff, right? Like they hire like a more suitable offensive mind. Let's say they go get Dave Yeager, right? He's still on thin ice with me. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. He's still on thin ice with me. If they blow if next postseason he is not up to snuff with these other elite coaches, I think you have to look around the marketplace and see if there's someone you can easily replace him with. Which right now I
Yeah.
don't think you can, which is
Yeah.
partially what's saving him.
I
Right?
think
If
yeah.
Taylor Jenkins was available, I don't know if he
Yeah.
has a job
If
today.
Michael Malone was available, you swap him out immediately, you know? Yeah, I agree. I think that he's not first off, he's not gonna get fired because it's the organization seems to really like him. And it would have taken as you said, it would have taken a lot. Like we maybe we nearly got there, but what happened is not gonna be enough to dislodge him at this moment.
He signed
Absolutely.
the extension
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Absolutely he needs an offensive coordinator who's very empowered to run that offense because he has shown that he doesn't it's just not there offensively. It just isn't. And I agree that his taking posture of this team is weird. If there was a better guy available, I would replace him today. Like today.
Yeah.
if there was a better coach available. But and who knows? Maybe there is, and we don't know. How we don't know these things. But yeah, I can't point at a name who is clearly available right now who's an improvement. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like they're going to replace him with someone better.
I'm leaning 60% keep him, 40% move on. Like that's where I'm at today.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
That's where I'm at today, right? So if they do decide to move on, I'm not gonna really go hard in the paint about this, right? Like I actually think this is a defensible move. But it's the kind of move you make when you know you have the next guy lined up. Like you don't want to pull a Tom Thibodeau, look around the rest of the NBA, and then finally hire Mike Brown after your like fifth or
Yeah,
sixth coach you tried to hire, right? You got to have the next
you gotta
guy
have the
in
guy
line,
ready.
right? Like Mark Jackson to Steve Kerr, that type of thing, right?
My
But
I, my other qualm with Udoka is that I kind of suspect that that Dylan Brooks is doing more of that lifting than we thought he was, because there has been a lowering in defensive intensity of the Rockets this season, and not just from personnel. They do have less defensive personnel, but the intensity, the effort has lowered. They didn't have quite that same we can win every game killer instinct. The vibes look bad for a long time there for some number of reasons. And frankly, it's just Udoka's job to fix that. Like his job is to get them through those problems and to get them running through walls again. And there was a while where they weren't running through walls. So something changed and he was unable to do it. Now, again, I think that Dylan Brooks may have been papering over all these flaws, but the flaws, he's not flawless, even on the defensive end. So I would,
certainly not.
yeah. So yeah, I agree. I think that it may just be the reality that there's not someone else better out there, but they have to get an offensive coordinator. They simply cannot run out the same coaching staff next year. I think a lot of the assistant coaches might be swapped out. That might be an easier thing for the team, like the organization, to handle doing than switching the head coach, but they gotta make some changes, man. We can't have guys shooting like this. We can't have guys making late game execution like this. We can't have an offense that just looks like he rolls the ball out half the time. It
That's
has to
that's that's
change.
the issue. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a plan, right? Like there doesn't seem to be a scheme.
No.
Like there is one, but it's very minimal,
So it's very
right?
rudimentary, yeah.
Yeah, and my thing is like, okay, I understand that you may have gone into the season planning to have an offense shepherded by Fred VanVleet. I get that. Once Van Vliet goes down, you got to pivot,
And he has to
and you
and
got
he's
to
gotta
pivot hard.
sit. Even if he's healthy,
Yeah,
he's gotta sit. You have to have a
yeah.
plan that can be implemented by the personnel you have and not just the starting point guard.
Right. No, yeah, 100%. It is, and this is something that dates back to his time in Boston. They lost a lot of late games on that finals team because Ime Udoka was not up to snuff as an offensive tactician. And like, listen, like the 40% like of me that wants to fire him is highly skeptical. The whole hiring an assistant to lead one side of your ball setup is easier when you're hiring the assistant to do the defense.
Yeah.
When you're doing it for the offense, that is weird, right? Because you're giving the clipboard at the end of games to somebody else, right? Because like it, for if you're just having someone like if it's like Mike D'Antoni and Jeff Bzdelik, like listen, D'Antoni's
Yeah.
gonna have the clipboard at the end of games, right? We'll have to see how it goes. If they don't do that, I mean, he for damn sure is on thin ice. Because at
Yeah.
that point, there's no one else to blame,
I mean, they
right?
better
There's no
look
one.
yeah, they better look a hell of a lot better once they get healthy next season and do whatever they're gonna do.
Yeah. And there are some talented assistants on their staff, right? It's not to say that they have a bad staff, but you need someone who is like go get Terry Stotts.
Here's the thing.
Go ahead.
Championship level teams have head coach level assistants. That's
Yeah.
consistently true. Like guys who have had head coaching jobs who could do a head coaching job for many other teams are all over championship teams coaching staffs. You
And
just got
people
to
are
have
really high
guys.
on Royal Ivy, right? People are really high on Royal Ivy as like a potential head coach in some other team, right? So to give them some credit, right? But I agree with you. Yeah, you have to have a
Frank
real
Vogel or
staff.
something, a Terry Stotts, like you have to have
Yeah,
a guy
but
who's a
Vogel
legitimate head
feels like
coach.
almost too much the same,
Yeah.
right? Like I think
But that level of credibility. I just mean that level of
right
credibility as in terms of NBA coaching.
for me Number one with the bullet is Dave Yeager. Dave Yeager is one of the best offensive coaches in the NBA. He just can't seem to get along with anybody. That's always been his issue, right? Like he is so influential. Other coaches steal his shit all the time, right? He is a very, very good offensive coach, and players respect him. He just butts heads with a lot of front office types, right? And that's always been the reason he gets fired. He's number one with a bullet. Terry Stotts is another good guy to go after, right? There are a lot of names out there that you can go get. You have to go get somebody.
You
The
gotta get
two
somebody.
other changes.
Yeah,
I
what
mean,
is
let's talk drastic. Let's talk drastic. Let's say they do something drastic, right? Which I don't know if it's necessarily prudent for them to pursue, or yeah, or I don't know if it's prudent for them to aim to do. Is probably a better way to phrase that, right? But I'm open to doing it if the
Mhm.
if the right deal comes along. I think the obvious name there is Giannis. Let's start there. What are you willing and not willing to give up for Giannis?
Give up Schengen and some one of the one of the other guys, but not Amen
And we're talking picks with that.
and picks, yeah, and then salary
Okay,
filler to make whatever work.
so I think where I'm at, and this is a controversial take. I've actually had this throughout the whole season, and I've never said it, but I am skeptical of a Giannis and Thompson or a Giannis and Şengün kind of formulation. Like we're two non heavy shooters
Mhm.
like that, right? I think I understand the reluctance to do what the kind of move I'm suggesting, but I think it's the kind of move that actually may be palatable long term and short term. Thompson, Şengün, no picks. Thompson, Şengün, whatever salary filler you need, no picks. You're not getting any other no picks. We keep Reed, we keep Jabari, we keep Tari. I mean, obviously they don't even have Tari right now. They have to
They
go through the
have
restricted free agent
they have
process, right?
maybe
Like
Tari, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So like you keep all the other young hogs, but you kind of leave and you keep all your draft picks, right? So if you want to make moves alongside that Giannis, Kevin Durant, Jabari, Reed core, you can still make moves, right? It's just a suggestion.
Yeah,
I think more likely they're gonna go with the Şengün type of trade, Şengün type of package. But I do think it's something they should seriously think about because it does keep it does feel like it hits a sweet spot, right?
I think what you've laid out is, to me, the case for why they probably shouldn't and probably won't end up trading for Giannis, which is that I kind of agree that, like, those 2 guys both don't really fit with Giannis. The problem is that that's so
So
much
much.
future to give up for a little bit of present.
Yeah.
Like, that is how it
You
have to
do keep your
be.
picks though. Yeah, and you
Yeah,
keep everybody else.
God, you can maybe even, like, get a pick in that case, depending on what happens, but, like, not a good pick,
I
but
don't I don't I don't know if I
something?
don't know if you're getting a
Yeah,
pick.
you
I
maybe yeah,
it sucks. It sucks. Yeah, listen, Giannis is going to be expensive,
yeah,
right? Like even if you do a trade that's not like that, you're going to have to give him a shit ton.
it's so much. Yeah, I think they probably balk at that price is the thing.
I
I
think it's
mean,
fair.
yeah,
It's fair to do so.
I think, unfortunately, regarding Giannis Antetokounmpo, we're gonna have to judge by what eventually happens because it's very likely that if indeed he gets moved, we see that the package that he got moved for is something that was stupid to give up for him. In which case, then you go, well, my
Do
thing.
do you think they should be active in the discussions though?
I mean, they should test the waters for sure. Look, like we,
Like should they be one of the top 3 teams in the talks?
I mean, they will be like, well, all right, they
They
will,
will be.
they will. People were going to connect them to Giannis no matter what. And they should be right there in the discussions as well, like at worst, because they have to be doing everything they can. Now, the idea of winning on the backbone of Kevin Durant and Giannis Antetokounmpo is like a little mercenary, but that's what happens sometimes. Um,
Yeah.
I think I have 2 big questions not related to Giannis, which I think may actually come. One of them will come before, and one of them will come after, if that makes sense. The one that comes before is, what does Kevin Durant want right now?
I guess we can talk about the whole burner thing.
I mean, I guess
I
I don't have much to say about it. It's up to the team as to what they
it's
think
weird,
about
right?
it.
it is
I don't
something
know.
we do have to talk about, right? Like, cause like it's weird enough to where like you could you could squint and see how that may have affected the season. I don't really think it had a drastic effect on the season, but it's too dismissive to say there's no way it couldn't have had
He-
an effect.
Here's what I have to say about that, which is I don't know that it had much of an effect in the season because,
I
like, I don't know, guys
I'm
talk
with
shit. But I think that the thing that made him do it is the same thing that might make him hard to deal with, if that makes sense. Like, the kind
mhm.
of guy who's going to do this is the kind of guy who can be tough to be around. So I think there's a chance that it's not so much that it affected the season as like it may be that it is a part of the thing that affected the season. And again, I'm
So
not in the locker room. You have to give these guys truth serum and ask them what was going on to actually know what was going on.
yeah, no, I hear you. I'm actually with you in that I don't think it had a meaningful impact on the season. I think it was weird probably for a couple of days, but I think they probably brushed it off. Like I don't think you had to have an all out conversation about that, right? It's just too weird. It's just too weird. Like and like we kind of knew the kind of guy Kevin Durant was, right? I've always thought it's weird how much time he spends on Twitter, and
Yeah.
people have always argued with me. It's like, oh, it's what makes him human. And don't you think it's kind of relatable? I'm like, no, I don't think it's relatable. I think if I had that much money, I don't think I'd be on Twitter.
I mean,
I don't know.
I think I would, and that's not good. Like, yeah, it makes him more like me, and that's not good. Like even if it's relatable doesn't mean it's a positive positive trait.
I don't think I'd be tweeting. Is what I would say. I think I'd be reading, but I wouldn't be tweeting, and I certainly wouldn't be DMing on a burner,
I
right?
mean, but that's the kind of guy he is. I mean, I
Right.
just find
That's
that we're just kind of assuming he's did this, but whatever.
I
If you
mean,
didn't do it,
come on.
come prove it. I don't know.
I like listen. At this point, like
It kind of seems like it was
we can be okay. Hold on. Allegedly, he did it. I don't
allegedly.
want to get sued, right? But like, I think that he did
All
it.
right, I'll put it this
I
way:
don't know that he
it,
did it.
it seems like all the players in the league and on the team think he did it. So
Yeah,
I'll leave it at that.
but
I
they certainly did deny it.
Yeah.
It's the kind of thing you can easily deny. Like, hold on, like no, that was not me. Like I don't know where you guys are
Well,
getting this from.
but it's
And that
really
account kind of went dark, right? Like afterwards, right?
right.
That burner.
And that's the thing is that it kind of seems like he doesn't trust his teammates, any teammates he's ever had. It seems like he doesn't really like or respect any of them, and that's his business, but it's also their business. So my question is, what does Kevin Durant want? Not even what does the team want, quite. What does Kevin Durant want? Does he think that he can win a championship with these guys? Like, where's he
I
at? I
I
don't
think he wants
know.
to stay.
I think I think he maybe I think he maybe has to stay, but it wouldn't
I think
surprise me if he's like, guys, this is not. I thought better of this. I don't like this situation. It wouldn't surprise me if there ends up being like a mutual parting of ways over this offseason. I don't expect it, but it wouldn't surprise me.
yeah, I agree with you on that point. I probably wouldn't. I probably lean no, right? Like I'm like 70% keep him at that. Like that's kind of where I'm at. Like I think it's probably better to keep him than trade him.
Oh,
Um
I think it's probably better to keep him. I think
yeah.
they might not. He might not want to be there, and they might not want him to be there. There
Well,
may be enough of that.
that's where I would disagree. I think he does want to be there. I think this man doesn't know how to vent to himself, right? Or to like actual real people. Like he doesn't have real people that he can just go vent to, right? Because I feel like this is probably not that uncommon for a star player to say to someone else that we just don't hear about, right? Like
Yeah, they just actually talk to their friends over dinner or
right.
whatever. Yeah.
Right, is it impossible to envision that Chris Paul was talking about Clint Capella,
It's
like,
impossible
in
to
tw
imagine he
right,
wasn't.
right, or like, what's another, like, vet on a relatively young team situation? I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Like a Kawhi talking about Fred VanVleet or like, that kind of thing is not hard for me to envision,
Yeah, for
right?
sure. I
But
mean, it's a
I
professional setting. They gotta just go to work.
And I also just think it's fine. I don't think there's a problem between Kevin Durant and the young
Yeah,
core.
I'm just saying I don't know if there's a problem. Like, I just don't know. I'm not in there. I'm not with them. I don't know what's a problem for these people or not. It seems like there's enough smoke there that I don't think there's a fire. I think it's like maybe a 25% chance, I would guess, that like we see a Rockets Kevin Durant divorce. And I'm not saying they should do it. I'm saying like it would not surprise me if that does happen, given how weird everything has been.
I can agree with the fact that there's a 20%. I personally don't think there's anything there, but I can understand the divorce 25%, but for different reasons. More because like they may just want to like reset their clock a
Yeah, like
little bit.
step back. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the other thing is they
yeah.
might just be like, you know what? Oh, we're just not there yet. Like to some degree, I think this year was a dress rehearsal for the young core, for these
Hmm.
five guys to see like, okay, how ready for big time are you? And the answer was not sufficiently, right? Like, and that doesn't necessarily mean they will never get there, but they weren't there, and maybe
Hmm.
they weren't that far away, but they weren't there. And so now the math has to be like, well, are they going to get there soon, or is it better for us just to take a step back, become like a middle tier playoff team or whatever, and then see what we can do going forward.
So let's quickly go through the stars again, like really quick. So we talked about Giannis. So ultimately, you lean they should be in the mix, but you're kind of uncomfortable with the fit. I'm kind of with you. Like
And
I think the fits
price is
it's
a big
and
concern.
price, fit, the fit for me more. The price, I understand. Like it's Giannis is an MVP, right? Like I understand you have to give up a lot for that guy, and like I think I'd ultimately like begrudgingly do it if I liked the fit of the roster that comes with a Giannis team, and I think
Yeah,
the trade that gets me there is the trade that probably is the most controversial. A man, Şengün, no one else, right? No more picks, right? That's the kind of trade I would do. Now, let's move on to other players because Kelly Iko wrote an article about players they could possibly pursue. Um, I think the players I saw on there that stuck out to me, obviously, yeah, you have Kawhi Leonard. I am personally no. Let's just move on.
he's no,
No, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
no.
So no. Okay.
Sorry, it's just
No. I'm with
he's
you.
never
Like
going to be healthy again. I'm sorry, he just isn't.
I want to go through the quick notes real quick. I think I saw Joel Embiid on there. I'm kind of no as well. Like listen, I love Embiid. I think he's probably underrated at this point. I probably wouldn't do it. Um, this is the one where I'm like, man, if Cleveland decides they're ready, I think this kind of trade would be perfect for them. Donovan Mitchell just seems like the cleanest fit star player that you can trade for. I'm just not sure how available he is.
That's that's a toughie because yeah, he is. I don't love that he's such a clean fit. We have
Yeah.
we have a history, but yeah, he would be an excellent fit on the Rockets. I mean, and then you negotiate as to what you feel comfortable giving up in that
Hmm.
situation. Um, yeah, I mean that just simply depends on the price and if he's available at all.
Right. And I think you'd have to give up one of the two. Same thing with the Giannis thing. I think the surrounding would probably be less than obviously in a Giannis trade, but it is something that I am going to be monitoring.
It,
Like to see, I'd like to see how the Cavaliers handle this. Right. I
oh
mean, it looks like they're winning right now against the Cavaliers, and they're going to advance. But it is concerning how tough it was to get past the
yeah,
Cavaliers.
or the past the
It
Raps. Yeah, this Raptors team that is like
Yeah.
not.
I mean, they're
They're okay.
feisty.
They're feisty.
They're
Yeah,
feisty, but like it's not. This is the kind of Cavs. At this point, the Cavaliers are well past the point in the rebuild where they should be struggling in the first round. Right? They should be rolling the first round. They're at that point. Right? They've been rebuilding for like 4 years longer than the Rockets. Right? Or not 4 years, like 2 or 3 years longer than the Rockets. Right? This idea that they are still struggling to get past their first round opponent, I think is not good. Now we'll see what happens in the next round. If they flame out in round two, I think the Donovan Mitchell conversation has to happen. And I think that's the kind of trade, that's the kind of target I'd be willing to make a drastic move this offseason for. Other than that, though, this is now we can talk about what's actually more likely to happen. Changes that are actually more likely. We talked about the head coach. We talked about coaching staff. Another tweak. I think they need to go away from the double bigs, man. Like, this is just me. I've
Yeah.
never been a big fan of this. Like,
Well, that's
I'd get
not.
rid of Capella.
Yeah, I mean
Or
that's fair. Yeah, I mean if Steven Adams is hurt, he's hurt.
yeah,
They need more guard help.
I'd get rid of Capella or Adams, and I'd get more shooting. I think they need more shooting. They need to stop doubling down on this double big. Like, offensive rebounding is not an offense.
All right, well, so let me bring up the other thing I was going to talk about, which comes after talking about these stars, which is where are you at with Alper and Schengen? Where are they at?
Okay,
Also,
good question. I think he's an all-star. I think, there's the potential for something more. I think more likely he's tops out as possibly the second or third best player on a title team, right? Like, that's kind of what we're looking at more likely now, right?
hmm
And in that situation, it is more palatable to use him as trade fodder, and which is what I think they're going to try to do. Now, I think another thing we need to talk about is, like, it's possible they may never get like a tier one best player on a title team kind of thing, kind of team. They may try to do the whole for Pistons, let's get really, really good players at every position, have depth, and get as deep as we can without a true 1A
yeah.
superstar
I
type.
mean, you can argue that's kind of what the Pacers did last year as well.
It's what
Kind
the
of how you
Celtics
feel.
did.
Yeah,
I kind of feel that way
yeah.
about Tatum, right? I'm not sure if he's a 1A kind of guy. He just happens to be that on the Celtics, right? If that's the case, like, I'm okay with Şengün. I didn't love how inconsistent he was this year. I some of that may have been due to injury, but like, that's kind of more into legitimate. Like, okay, that sounds like an excuse, right? Like, how we talked about earlier, like them someone being not on the floor is a reason and a factor, but someone recovering from an injury not really looking like themselves is kind of more in the excuse territory. And I think the his defensive intensity this year has not been up to snuff. Last year, I thought he was a better defender, and I think offensively he's just been way too up and down.
Okay, let me ask you this: during the summer, either none of these stars come available, or all the prices for them are too high for your like whatever your too high judgment is, they're above that level, right? Just basically, there's no. It would be imprudent to make a star trade during the summer. So, in that situation, what do you think they should do with Schengen?
Probably keep, but there's also a scenario. I actually do like the scenario, but I'm not sure if the Rockets are fond of it, of trading Şengün for assets, or like first round
Picks, guys, stuff. Yeah,
picks maybe, yeah, and playing Jabari at center, and having that front court look like Durant, Eason, Jabari. That's your front court, because you're spaced out around Amen Thompson,
yeah,
right? Because you have plenty of shooting at
yeah.
that
I
point.
mean, and then you have Emveli and Thompson on on the wings.
Yeah,
The,
Van
or
Vliet,
the
Thompson,
backcourt. Then you have Shepard coming
Right,
off the bench as your clear
right,
six man.
yeah,
That's, I
and like
mean, it
also,
makes sense. Unfortunately,
but it is a big bet. It is a big bet on Thompson, though, right? Like,
yeah,
it is a big bet on him becoming
that
like a
he's
star.
gonna be a superstar level guy. Yeah,
Yeah, or like even like a tier B star, like where Şengün kind of is, right? Where like he's not necessarily the best player on the title team right now, but he is definitely someone you go to for offense, right? It's a big bet on him becoming a go-to guy for on offense, and that I think that's a plausible thing you could do.
do you think
There's
they
no easy answer here for me when I look at the roster. But go
do?
ahead. What were you
Do
saying?
you think they like run it back until the trade deadline to see how this goes? Like how much do you think there's like we have to see the team with Fred? Like we just have to see the team with a real point guard.
I think there is a lot of, we have to see the team with a real point guard, but I think there is a lot of pressure for them to make moves on the margins, particularly about shooting,
Yeah, I mean
right?
they look, they have to, even if they don't touch like the five young guys and Kevin Durant and presumably Fred, even if they don't touch those seven guys, they have like DFS. I'm sorry, like you have to cut bait with this
Unfortunately,
man.
And you know what sucks? I feel like he could be due for a bounce back year, but the
Yeah,
pressure might just be there to
it's
skip
not
it.
good.
Like, okay, may
Yeah,
have him have the bounce back on some other team, right? Go get something real. Um, yeah,
they
and the
yeah,
Capella or Adams, I think you have to move on
one of them.
from. Yeah.
JT is probably gone. Like you just
Hmm.
they all the stuff outside the core rotation guys, all the ones that are not like whatever they do with like the top 5 or 6 or 7 guys who are going to get minutes, their number 8 dude in minutes has to be able to shoot the damn lights out. Like they do not have a choice. They have to do that. Like that I think that Rockets fans, my opinion is this, that be prepared for a summer where the only thing they do is that, where they trade and or sign some sharpshooters, preferably 3 and D type guys
A
to
tweak summer.
yeah, where they tweak it pretty heavily around the margins. Like the whole stay ready crew might be gone. Do not be surprised if everyone below Steven Adams in minutes is gone. Every single one of them. Uh,
Hmm.
but like, but I think a lot of people will be really disappointed if that were to happen. If that was the only like moves they did during this offseason.
I I'm at the point where like I think I think uh I think Rafael may need to like just hold back on signing Jay Tate for Ime Udoka's own good, right? Like we cannot have another year where Reed Shepard's not closing games when he's clearly needed,
He's
right?
clearly needed. Look, if Reed Shepard, if his defensive liabilities, which exist, they are real, but if they are too much for him to be playable, then you just need to, if you think that is the case, if you think that Reed Shepard cannot defend well enough to like, if he is such a poor defender that his offensive talents are not worth his lack of defense, you need to just get rid of him now. This is it.
I'm not of
I don't
I
think
think
that's
if you
true, but if you do think that, you have to get rid of him.
so going back to our early conversation about Ime Udoka 60-40, I would take Reed Shepard over Ime Udoka right now. If I I'd fire the coach before I do that.
I mean, Reed has shown some real growing up just in the
Yeah.
postseason alone, just in that 6 game
His
series.
his flashes of brilliance are just so tangible, man. Like they're so obvious. You
He can
see
do
a
stuff,
star
man.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
you can
can.
see a star there.
And look, again, if you really just don't think that his defense can ever be at a passable level, then like what are we doing? What are we doing? It's already been the case. Like he's only gonna get better from here if we think that he's anyway. Yeah, it's very
No,
frustrating to see him not being played all year. And which and again, I'm not gonna say the problems aren't real. When he does play, there are problems. He has a lot of growth to do. But he's so young. He's like, of course, a a second year guy is gonna have these problems.
I think all the pluses outweigh the minuses, man. And I also think his hands are good enough to where the defense is not as bad as people make it out to be. I think he's probably closer to like replacement level defensive player. And we're just having to entertain Ime's tendencies
I mean,
to not play these
yeah,
guys.
the question is like, all right, so like you can say, hey, look, the Warriors had an excellent defense with Steph Curry, and I'm not comparing him to Steph Curry. I'm just saying like this is a guy who was had defensive liabilities. They were able to build a good defense around. Houston built a really excellent defense around James Harden, who was a defensive negative. You see guys build good defenses around defensive negative players.
He is smaller than those guys,
He is
though. Yeah,
smaller than them, though. That is the thing,
yeah,
is that he is
yeah.
smaller than them, and that is a big question mark because it may like look, it may be the case that he is simply too small to play
Hmm.
in this NBA, at least at like a playoff level.
A starting caliber level.
Yes,
I think
to
he's a playoff caliber player, but yeah, starting caliber playoff player. I can
right.
see a case for that. Yeah.
So if and that is the case that you have to take seriously. But again, if that is the case, if that's what they believe, if they don't think that he's going to get there, get rid of him. If they do think that he can get there, play him. That's the thing, is that they have to either get off the pot regarding Reed Shepard. That's I think we're in agreement to like if you have this guy, you just got to take your lumps with his growth because he's either going to be worth it or not, and you have to let him get out there to find out if he is. And you're going to lose some
I'm
games because of it.
I'm at the point where I'm only trading someone from from the core 5 if I'm getting a star. Like the core young core 5.
I think that's right.
I'm very attached to this core 5. right? I think Tari Eason, I'm a little bit less so. Like I think I'm willing to let him go if Houston's outpriced,
Yeah, if
right?
someone wants to pay him like,
Yeah, let him do it.
130 a year or whatever,
Right.
or
No,
30 a year.
not that he can't reach a high ceiling, right? But like the highest ceiling I can see from him as a player is like Pascal Siakam, and it's a very narrow like path for him to get there, right? So at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm willing to kind of let another team have it, right? Because I want to keep my books clean. Um, and so as far as Reed though, yeah, like you can trade him, but you better be getting a star back on the other side because I just would rather play this out,
Yeah,
right?
and what you can't do is keep him on the bench, or at least like keep him like he can be your six man, but he has to play starter minutes. Like Reed has to play starter minutes henceforth, or it's malpractice to keep him. That's where we're at
Yeah.
regarding Reed Shepard.
We're at least at the point where when you need shooting at the end of games, you kind of have to have him on the court, right?
Yeah, and I mean, well, he's streaky. Yeah, so we're like every 3-point shooter, and
Yeah.
also you just got to find out if he can grow into being a reliable offensive heater out there. That's just where we're at, and that's again, think point going back to the maybe they move too far forward too quickly. I think if there's any real qualm with what the Rockets have done this season, you can say it's that they thought they could become a contender right away, and that was not the case. They simply
Well,
were not
we don't know if
mature
that's the
enough.
case.
Yeah,
We don't know,
or
right?
it simply didn't happen.
Sure.
Like whether it could have or not, it didn't. And so now the front office has to decide: do we make another run at this with one more year of experience, or do we say we need to take a step back and grow these five guys a couple more years before we really go in on this?
There are a couple guys I feel really good about. I feel really good about Jabari. Like I feel really good about Jabari.
He's not a
I
star, but he's like great role player. He's just like he's a guy who's going to fit into your lineup and do the things he does. I
but I c- yeah, I mean like
You don't need to be a
here's
star.
no, but here's the thing. I think there is could be a star there. Like I'm not as dismissive to that. Right? Like I think there could be a LaMarcus there, right? Because of the way he's able to create his own shot, right? Like and how fluid he's become at getting to that pull up mid range jumper,
Okay,
right?
I mean, that's the kind of like I mean, Lamarcus level is like the perfect 2A type guy, you know? Like
Well,
he's not your
uh,
1A, he's not your 1B, but he is like
right.
star caliber and can be your second best player on a championship team if things are built correctly.
I think that's a fair characterization, maybe even a third best player. But like, that's how I felt
Yeah.
about LaMarcus, right?
Yeah,
Like
that's I was
I
just going
felt
I feel about Lamarcus. Yeah, like that's the
yeah,
Lamarcus like archetype to me.
right. Yeah. So yeah. Listen, I feel relatively good about the Rockets. I don't feel really good about the discourse, right? I hated the discourse this year. It as I said, like I wanted to punch a wall, right? I found the expectations and the lack of recalibration maddening. And I also feel like we're at a place where Houston can realistically look at themselves and be like, okay, we understood what went wrong here. Let's just see what happens again next year, right? But if they want to make a major change, it feels very similar to last offseason, right? Like post Durant last offseason, right? Where like if Giannis became available last offseason, I feel like you still have the same level of discourse as you would this offseason, right? I'm at that point, right? So we'll see. I'm feeling this will be fun. This will be a fun off season. I actually don't mind the tweaky type off seasons. If they do decide to go for a star, I think it'll be exciting as well. Obviously, that's probably the one that everybody
Yeah.
wants. Uh, Actually, I don't know. Do you think the fan base wants to trade for Giannis? That's a different question.
No, the fan base wants the team to be good. That's
Okay,
what the fan base wants. The fan base wants the team not to be stupid. I don't know.
okay,
Like it's pretty straightforward. Like I think it hurts them that so many games were lost by these guys just looking young and like making mistakes. It's like, well, just don't make the stupid decision, man. Just don't throw the ball to the Lakers. What are you doing? Like that's what they
uh-huh.
want. They just want these guys to be better. So that's why a lot of the discourse is like, just blow it all up. None of these guys. I mean, like I understand in a moment of passion being like, this all sucks. None of this is anything. And like maybe it is the case none of these guys are anything. I mean, maybe none of these. I mean, they're probably none of them a 1A, and maybe none of them are even like a 2A or maybe even a 3A. Maybe that happens. Maybe that's what we see over the coming years, that like all these guys are like starters, but nothing better than that. And that's just kind of like they've put together like a mediocre team of guys. That's what happens with lots of players because players on average are average. Even if that were to be the case, even if you allow that like none of these guys are going to be a star, we should just do a new rebuild. No, you can't do that. I understand. I understand. I also at times have felt like just blow it all up, start over. Who cares? But yeah, it's unfortunately malfeasance. Like you can't just do that. You have something
This
good here. You can't throw it
this could
away.
be a 60-win team next year.
Yeah,
It could,
yeah, and you
right?
might
Like
right, but people say like a 60-win team doesn't mean anything if they just lose in like the second round or whatever. But
in the
like,
second round, you could be playing the Thunder in in this Western Conference. Like a 60-win team could be the third seed,
and I
right?
understand. Like, I understand feeling like, look, if we have to play out this core, if we have to play out these guys before rebuilding again, we're just gonna be like losing again for another like 10 years or another like 5 years at least or whatever before we even go back to rebuilding again. Why are we just delaying the inevitable? Which again, I get it, but you don't know what the future holds, is the thing. Is that you might think
Hmm.
you do. You might think you know that they're just gonna lose forever. That's how look, I'm a negative person. I feel like nothing is ever gonna go right. But I'm not getting paid. And if I was getting paid, it would be my responsibility not to give in to that. That like you
Hmm.
don't know what's going to happen and you have to see it through. You just have to see it through. You can't just throw it all away now because it seems like it's probably going to because you think it's going to suck. You have to just do it. And whether that means trading for a superstar or just watching these guys develop, you cannot throw a 52 win team in the trash. No one would ever like if Rafael Stone went to the Fertitas and said, "Look, this sucks. I don't want to deal with these guys anymore. Can we just retank again and start from zero?" They would be like, you can start from zero salary, actually, if you'd like to do that." Like they would never go for that. Who would ever go for that? So the reality is that you're not look, my prime Akeem Olajuwon is not walking through that door. A rebuild's not walking through that door. This is the team you got. And you better hope that this team can grow because if they can, it's gonna keep sucking. And if you really
Here's an
you don't
alternative
have another
scenario for
option.
you.
Yep.
We've made a number of comparisons, right? I talked about the '04 Pistons. I talked about like the Celtics, right? Like where they didn't have a true 1A. What about the mid 2010 Raptors? They kind of kept playing this out, right?
Yeah.
They we knew they didn't have that guy, right? They kept playing this out, and then the opportunity sprung to go get a Kawhi Leonard, right, in his prime, and then they pounced because they had the assets, they had the intriguing young players, they had the picks, they had enough to go get that guy. That could just be Houston right now, and there's nothing wrong with being that team. You just gotta understand this is a
I
patience game.
mean, you're not gonna the thing is that only one team out of 30 wins a championship every year, and soon one team out of 32. You just don't. It's just like when people ask what's the best way to win a championship, tanking doesn't lead to a championship. Trades don't lead to a championship. Nothing leads to a championship. There's no way to do like it's so hard. It's so rare that like there's not a surefire way to do this. You got to get really talented and really lucky. So yeah, I know. I'm with you. Like I think people should vent and talk to their friends and yell at how frustrating everything is. But like at the end of the day, what are they gonna do, man? They're not gonna trade. They're not gonna like trade Tari Eason for Nikola Jokic or some crap like that. Like whatever thing you look, and I get hoping that Ime Udoka gets fired. I know that firing coaches is an easy thing for fans to go to, and in this case, Ime Udoka has made some decisions that we all disagree
Yeah,
with. So
yeah.
I think it's completely reasonable to be a hardliner on firing Ime Udoka. As we've laid out, there's some reasons why I think he's not going to get fired, and there's probably not really a better option out there, but totally fair. If you want to be on the Fire Udoka bandwagon, that's like the most reasonable, like reactionary bandwagon to be on, I think.
Okay,
But
I'm glad you said that. The most reasonable reactionary is to fire him. Yeah, I think when people lose me is when they start talking about firing Stone, because like I legitimately think Stone is
no,
very good at this,
the
and
average
also I just want to say this, like the the reason the reaction like this level of reactionary is actually kind of dangerous is because these organizations read Twitter. They do. I like
Yeah.
they will tell you, they will swear up and down that they don't listen to the podcasts, that they don't read Twitter. But I know for a fact, just take my word for it. I knew for a fact that when I was covering the team, when I was there, that people in that organization were listening to the podcast. I knew that for a fact. I knew they were paying attention to Twitter. I knew for a fact that they all read this and like you just don't want them to be reactionary as well. That's why I think this level of reactionary got to a dangerous point. Hopefully hopefully people have calmed down. I don't know if this podcast will make an impact on it, but I just hope that people have, through the haze you are after you get eliminated in the playoffs, once that haze has gone away, I hope people are thinking about this a little bit more level headed. Because just the level of reactionary was dangerous, in my opinion.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say. The season sucked. Terrible season. One of the worst seasons to watch I've ever seen. Maybe the most unpleasant Rocket season I have dealt with, but
Uh,
the season and the team are not the same. Look, I have found like tanking teams less hard to deal with because
I'm
at
talking
least
about the 41 and 41 Rockets team. That team was dog.
right. But here's the thing: is that team was dog coming in. That's the difference. Is that this Rockets
Really?
team? I mean,
Well, I'm talking about the Harden team. The Harden team. The
the
Harden.
2016 team?
Yeah,
Yeah, that one was
yeah.
that's the other that's the other
That's
one.
the
It's
one.
these 2
Yeah,
that are right, but that
yeah,
team, they were bad out the door. They were sucky immediately. They didn't make us think they were good. It's the thing. Like, and this year they made us think that they were good, and then they fell off, and that's why
yeah,
everyone's so miserable. And so,
yeah.
my distinction I want to draw is that this has been a bad season. This has been a
This
miserable,
is
unpleasant
like the
season.
pump fake Rockets team.
Right.
Like they pump faked this at the beginning, and then at the end they pump faked this again because they went on another hot run.
Yes.
like
So, like, but there's a difference between a team being bad and a season being bad.
yeah,
And you need, like, complain about the season, like, say that Udoka mismanaged things. I think he did mismanage a lot of things, but the team is not trash. The experience was trash, and there's a difference there.
yeah. Well, I guess we've about covered everything. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher. Give us a like on the video if you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, guys, we'll talk to you down the line.